Welcome to Real Judaism with Rabbi Ari Klapper. Unfiltered wisdom for Jewish life.
Okay, we're back here on Daf Reish Ted. We're almost, Be'ez Hashem, very close to the end of the Sefer. We're going through the Ikarim now. The Yud Gimel Ikarim, the Rambam's Yud Gimel Ikarim, the fundamental of faith that the Rambam codified, and how they're related to Shabbos. This is the very last parak of Shabbos Malkasa. And we're basically putting together everything we learned in this Sefer about Shabbos, and showing how it relates to all of our faiths, all the fundamentals of Judaism. So we're here on Daf Reish Tes at the very top, the ninth principle of faith. Ani ma'amin be'emunah shalema shezois ha'Torah lo tieh muchlefes v'lo tieh Torah acheres me'eis haboyer yisbarach shemo. We believe with a complete faith that the Torah that we have was never switched, and there is no other Torah from the Ribbono Shel Olam. We mentioned this, we discussed this a little bit last week, right? In fact, that's exactly what he says. Akol nizkar le'el shebrisi b'li hafar v'shinui. A bris, when you have a connection with somebody, that means you're connected. It means there's no break, right? When you have a treaty with somebody, but it's more than a treaty. A treaty is just like, you know, somewhat you can get along. Like between Israel and Egypt or Jordan, they call it a cold peace. Meaning there's no fighting, but who says we're friendly? Not necessarily friendly, you're just not fighting with each other. No, but a bris, with the Ribbono Shel Olam, we're completely connected. There's no hafrada, there's no separation. So Hashem didn't trade us for anybody else. The Yosha Torah, he rotzen Hashem the diburas kodsho b'kvoidu ba'atzbo. That which we said last time, that the Torah itself is Hashem speaking. He himself is speaking through the Torah. Begeder hu b'diburo chad v'hu retoino chad, in a way that he and his words and he and his will are all one. Right? We've talked about at the very beginning the complete oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kamosha Ein Shinui Bo Yisbarach, just like there's no difference, there's no change in Hashem, Kamokein Ein Shinui B'Torah, therefore there is no change in the Torah as well. Really, this is all related to the previous one, and this is all, again, based on Shabbos, based on the Yesod of Chidush, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world from nothing. I'd just like to add now a nice story. This story happened many years ago, when I was in yeshiva. A true story. It happened in our good old Queens. And I heard the story in Shir. This is in my 6+ years, actually, to a certain degree, it was 7 years of Shir in the Rosh Yeshiva of Daniel Anders Shlita's Shir. He never stopped to tell us a story except for one time. The one time he stopped, it wasn't even a regular Shir, it was like afternoon Seder Chabura. He stopped to tell us the following story. We were learning about the sugya of Eliyahu and Har Carmel. And he stopped to tell this story. He said that, I don't know how much before he told the story it actually happened. It must have been that week, I'm guessing, that this story happened. He said there was a Chinese woman who walked into the yeshiva on Main Street. Yeah? Chinese woman walked into the yeshiva and she asked to see the rabbi. Now you have to imagine, Bachrim kind of looked at this Chinese lady and they're like, who are you? Like, did you come straight from China? Like, who? You want to see the rabbi? So they're like, I think you have the wrong place over here. I think you think you're in the wrong place. Maybe you should like try to go someplace else. So he said they did the right thing by sending her away because, first of all, you have no idea what's going on over here. But besides for that, even if a person wants to be Megayer, you don't, oh, we're going to embrace you. No. 1 second, We're not out to be Megayer people. You have to really prove your what you're worth. But he goes on to tell. He went on to tell what happened. Who was this woman? What happened to her? So actually, it actually could have been. Maybe it wasn't that week, or maybe there was I just know the continuation of the story as well. Maybe that's what it was. It turns out this woman actually came from China. She wasn't just from Chinatown. She came from China. And she was working on a degree, writing a thesis on different religions in the world. And she wanted to learn about the big religions in the world. So where did she go? The two largest religions in the world, in terms of just numbers, in terms of the amount of people that are part of that religion, are Christianity and Islam. Now, obviously, in both Christianity and Islam, there is more than one group. But as a whole, those are the two major, in terms of amount of people, the two major religions of the world. So she wanted to interview. Like, priests and mullahs or whatever, imams, whatever they're called, in order to find out more about the religion. And she did. And she interviewed a priest. And she asked, how did the religion start? Where did things, how did, right? And it turned, and she's like, oh, so you're saying, like, this was only in the middle? Like, before that, God had, like, a different group? And then, was it right? And she asked, obviously, very insightful questions. You should know, these people, they don't like questions. That's what our friend Yosef told me when we were talking about it last week. They don't like it when you ask questions like that. They get very upset. They get very testy when you ask questions like that. But this was some Chinese woman who was just trying to interview them. And she was asking a very simple question. I don't understand. Did God make a mistake? He made a mistake? If he's all powerful and everything, how did he make a mistake? And she came to the conclusion this didn't make any sense. So she went to Islam, and also, like, where did Islam start from? How did it come from? What's it based off of? What's the right? And, more or less, she came to the conclusion that also, Islam in the history of the world is relatively one of the newer religions. It's only been around for, 1,500 years. Something like that. I might be off by 100 years here or there, but we're not talking, it's not a 3,000, 4,000-year-old religion, right? So what happened before that? Like, God didn't know what he was doing before that? All of a sudden he chose you? Like, what, right? So no, it's also based off of Yiddishkeit. So she came to the conclusion that both of the two largest religions in the world combined make up, I don't know what percentage of the world population, and it's both of them stem from Judaism. And the major question that she had was, why would God make a mistake? He would make a whole set of laws and just like throw it in the garbage and start a whole new thing?
No, Daddy, it would be two mistakes.
Right. According to Islam. According to Islam, it would be two. According to Christianity, it would only be one, because they say Islam is wrong too, and Christianity came before Islam. So it'd only be one. But I say, yeah, exactly. Like, why would God, if God is all powerful, whatever, he made a mistake like that? It seems, so because of that, she started looking more into Judaism, and she wanted to convert. And in the end, I do believe she actually did convert. I think with Rabbi Steinberg, I do believe that she eventually converted. So that's this idea that we just said. We're not trading in the Torah for something else. What, God made a mistake? Like, what does that mean? What's going on over here? So that's the kalal over here. So now we're moving on now to the 10th ani mamin. Ani mamin be'emunah shaleim shaboy yisbarach shemo yodea kol ma'aseh bnei adam v'kol machshavosam shenema yoyitzer yachad libam u'mevin el kol ma'aseim. We believe with a complete faith that the Rebbeinu Shalom, the creator of the world, knows all the deeds and all the thoughts of every single creation that there is in existence. Everything. Behechrech shu yizbarach yodea kol hametzius, sharei kol hametzius hi mikoyach haboyre hamamtzi v'roitze ba v'kol rega v'al korchoch sheyodea v'zeh pashut. This is a very simple conclusion of what we said many times, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who is keeping us around in the first place. It is only because he wills us to exist and wills every single thing in existence to exist is the only reason why we're here. So does it make sense if the only reason we're here, that he knows everything about us, that he knows exactly what we're doing, and he knows what's in our minds as well? He knows what's going on in our bodies, right? This was, we're coming on to Pesach, and there's a famous Ramban at the end of Parshas Boy, where the Ramban discusses why did Hashem do all the makos? Why did he have to make a sound and light show, that the world had never seen, in order to basically play around with the mitzvah? Why did he do that for? And the Ramban describes over there that in Emunah, there needs to be a little bit of a jump. a little bit of a stretch. What's the stretch? The stretch is, well, we don't see the Ribono Shel Olam. And the Ribono Shel Olam is so big. And why would he want to have anything to do with us? And there's so many potential questions out there that a person could have, that a person might come to the wrong conclusions. And the Ramban says that one of the main philosophies at that time, and it doesn't matter as it can still be today, is that, yes, to say that the world came from a bunch of monkeys bumping into each other, it's kind of silly to say, right? Like we mentioned many times, right? Some atoms got together and had a party and all of a sudden there was a world, right? It's a little bit weird to say such a thing. It doesn't really make very much sense. But what to them did make sense was there was a creator. The creator did create the world. But you know what? He created the world and then he let it run. And then he's got better things to do, playing with the cosmos. He's playing pool with the stars up there, He wants to have some fun. So he's, throwing some planets around. I don't know. So he's too big for us. He's too big for us. So that's one of the things that the Makos was supposed to show, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with every single thing that happens in the world. He's involved with every little piece of lice. Right? The Maka Kinim, the Mitzrim said they didn't have koyach to do because it was so small that Kishuv didn't have power over it. So if witchcraft did not have power over Kinim, who controlled this? Who controlled it? It has to be somebody who has the ability to control something that's so small like that. So who is that? So they had to be moided to the Ribono Shel Olam. But that shows you that the Ribono Shel Olam is caring about even the tiniest, smallest little thing. Right? We have bodies. Our bodies work. They work automatically. Of course they work automatically. Hashem doesn't know what's going on in each person's body. Of course he does. Of course he does. Every single person. Every single one. It looks like it works automatically. That's part of the Nisayon. Of course, look, we can do statistics and we can see this is the way things work. I think I heard a great line from the Chazon Ish. They said that statistics are just the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu hides himself in the Bria. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs certainly for a Jew, Hashkacha Pratis. Hashkacha Pratis, every single thing, every single Nakuda. So of course it makes sense. I created you. I'm keeping you around. You only exist. It's not like you'd be dead. You wouldn't exist even. You just wouldn't be here. And your remembrance would never be here. Nobody would ever know that you existed ever. So, and why is that not happening? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to be here. So then it makes sense. It really does make sense to say that he knows every single thing about us. It does make sense. So if you go a little bit deeper, you'll see. Since through the koyach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to be machadish anything that he wants from nothingness. So that proved, we said many times that proves the foundation of Ein Od Milvado, that there is no one else but the Ribono Shel Olam. Nimsak, what comes out, Hashem Yisbarach Yodea Kol Metzius Mikoach Ma Shu Yisbarach Yodea Et Atzmo. What comes out is that Hashem Himself knows every single thing, every koyach, and everything there is to know about everything, because everything is in Him. We're only existing in the Ribono Shel Olam. So he doesn't know about himself, right? We live in a world. What do you mean? We're in Him. I don't see Him. How do I? Right? That's the union of the Shechina. That the Shechina that HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually made His presence felt in this world. We don't have that, unfortunately. We're living in a world of Hester upon Him. But a person's got to be completely blind to not see all the miracles that are happening in this war. Right? The famous one that just happened just now is that when the missile hit in Arad. This is what I heard this. I didn't read the article about it, but a missile hit in Arad. How long ago was this? A few days ago? Motzei Shabbos? There was a 10-year-old boy who was blown out from the 4th floor. From the 4th floor, he fell 4 stories. And he came out with a few scratches. He said he fell 4 stories after this blast. Well, you gotta be, that's an unbelievable Nes Nigle. Really? It sounds too crazy to be true. Okay. I'm not telling everybody to go look at the news. You don't have to go look at the news. Just take my word for it. But those of you who don't take my word for it, you want to check the news, It's from, right now, it's March 24th. So it's probably like 3 days ago. So it probably wasn't Motzei Shabbos because that's when it happened. So it probably was Sunday. So check 2 days ago, March 22nd, check 2026 and see if that's what happened, right? So you don't have to take my word for it. Crazy, unbelievable nisim, unbelievable, right? And these are the ones that weren't intercepted. The missiles that were not intercepted. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows and does everything. And we see it so clearly. The Rambam writes in the second parak of the halachas of Yesodei Torah, Kol hanimtzaim chutz min haboirei mitzura rishona ad yitush katan tabur haaret hakol mikoyach amitosoi nimsa. Everything that was created in all of existence, from the biggest thing, from the very first creation until the little teensy little bug that is somewhere down in the trenches of the earth. Everything is here because of the truth of the Ribono Shel Olam. Lefi shehu yodea atzmo makir gadluso b'tifarto v'amitaso hu yodea kol ve'ein davar ne'elam mimenu. And because he knows himself, and we recognize his greatness and the truth of who he is, he knows everything. There's nothing hidden from the Ribono Shel Olam at all, because he's the one who's keeping us in mind. Why does my mind work even? Why does my mind work? Maybe it shouldn't work. Unfortunately, there are people out there, Rahmanu Litzlan, who become incapacitated. They don't have the ability. Their brain function is not in use. Even that, or not on even that, especially that, the Ribono Shel Olam knows. In our yeshiva, when I was a bocher, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to, in case the people don't want to be publicized. But I myself know a person who went unconscious, and he was in a coma for 6 months. And the doctor said that he was dead. He was brain dead. The doctor said he was brain dead. And there's no point in keeping him on a respirator. He's a vegetable. He has no brain function at all. 6 months he was in a coma, and then he woke up. And I don't know, his function was completely returned, but he definitely was a different person after that. It was a person who saw malachim. He had stories to tell about what during the time that he was unconscious. And the doctor said that that's it. He's finished. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu can say, you don't have brain function now, and now you do. And the doctors will say, oh, it doesn't make any sense. And how many stories do we have like that where the doctors say it doesn't make any sense? Unfortunately, I think he's passed away since then. But when they told his father about this, they basically told his father to sit shiva for him. And in the end, he sat shiva for his father. And like I said, I don't know if he got all of his function back, but he was definitely a person you could talk to after that. He was definitely somebody who you could have a conversation with. His physical functioning, I don't know. I don't remember. But you could see it in his eyes that he was a changed person. So Lamaisa, what you think, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't control a person's brain? This is what a vort that I like. You say this over at Pesach, the vort that I like. They asked a question about Paro, that Hashem hardened Paro's heart. And the first few makos, it says that Paro hardened his own heart. And in the last makah, in the last number of makos, some of them, it says Hashem hardened Paro's heart. Kiviyachal, he took away the bechira of Paro. He took away Paro's bechira. So how can you punish somebody if you take away their bechira? How can you do that? You have bechira, that's how we have schar v'oinish. Because you choose, you want to do the right thing, you'll get schar. You want to do the wrong thing, you'll get an oinish. But you have the ability to choose. If you don't give me the ability to choose, so why are you punishing me for what I do? I'm just a robot. Why are you punishing the robot for? That wasn't up to me. So there are different answers that are given to this question. One answer that I heard years ago was that Hashem, by taking away the bechira, he did take away the bechira of Paro. Why? Because he wanted to show Paro something. He wanted to show Paro that if I wanted to, I could take your bechira away also. Hashem gives us everything. And hakol bidei shamayim chutz miyir shamayim. It's our choice to have Yiras Shamayim or not to have Yiras Shamayim, which means we have Bechira. Everything is based on Bechira. But if Hashem wants, He could take away your Bechira too. He could. And He did. He took away Paro's Bechira just to show you that I can. Just to show you that if you're not deserving anymore, I'll take it away. Again, there are a number of other answers to this question. But the idea here is what Hashem does. If Hashem has the ability to take away somebody's Bechira, so that means He obviously knows what's going on in your mind. Obviously. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called taking away a Bechira. So the Ma'aseh, you see that everything is in Hashem's hands. So see the rest of the Rambam there, where it's clear that where he says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he understands and recognizes all of existence, just like he recognizes himself. Because after all of existence is in Rebbeinu Shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not in the world is in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu many times is referred to as Makom. V'nimsa shemikoyach haShabbos v'chidush ha'olam muchrach ha'ein oid milvado memela she'Hashem Yisborach yodea kol mitzia. So again, what comes out is the koyach of chidush, of yesh me'ayin, gives us the fundamental belief, which leads us to the conclusion of ein od milvado, that there's nobody but Hashem, and that He knows every single thing that happens in all of existence. Right? Much bigger than the biggest supercomputer you can ever imagine, or even in 1,000 years they could ever imagine. Animam in Ois Yud Aleph. Let's see, we got a little bit more time. Animam in Be'emunah Shalem Shekodesh Baruch Hu Goimel Toiv L'Shoim Mitzvoisav V'Anish Lo'oivei Mitzvoisav. The Klal of Schar V'Oinish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we believe with a complete faith that the Rabbi Shalom, the creator of the world, He gives reward for those who do good, and He punishes those who go against His desires. We discussed this earlier with regards to the fear of Shabbos. Akol rega v'rega, akol maisa v'maisa, v'ef sheshiteh mitzius be'eze rega eze maisa yishar chas v'shalom chutz m'shiz l'yizbarach yiritzon yizbarach. Like we said earlier, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rules from the one end of the universe to the other, and every single second, and every single maisa, and it's basically impossible to do anything that is against the ratzon of Hashem. Umamela muchrach shekol maisa yesh lo gemur v'lo shayach maisa shiabor b'stam ayin sham. Now, just to remind us what is meant. Right? He kind of says it very short over here. But just to remind us what he meant, is we discussed, what do you mean? Of course you can go do something against Hashem, right? That's what an Aveira is, and people can do Aveiras. So we explained back then that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a person Bechira. And that's why we have Schar Ba'onish for your Bechira. But if you choose to do something that's against Rebbeinu Shalom, in the end it's not going to be. Why in the end is it not going to be? Because it's going to have to be reversed. It's going to have to be taken back. And the question is how? How is it going to be taken back? Because you can never actually do anything against the Rebbeinu Shalom. So one way or another, your action is going to be reversed. There are two main ways that the action can be reversed. One is tshuva. A person can do tshuva. That's a way of reversing it. The other way of reversing it is called a punishment. That's the other way. But either way, it's going to be reversed. And we're not going to get into how that works right now. We discussed it previously. But that's where Oynish comes in. Oynish is not that, you shoplifted, so therefore we're going to lock you up. Right? One thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. Well, we mentioned this also in the past, that in Torah, Yiddishkeit, a prison sentence doesn't really exist. There are prisons for short term in order to hold people so they won't run away when we're still working out what exactly happened. But prisons they just don't make sense. Why are you locking a person up for? You're getting nothing out of it. So that's certainly not the point. But the purpose of the punishment is not to be punitive, not just to hurt somebody. The point is to reverse what happened. And therefore there has to be an oynish. Because you can never do anything against the Rebbeinu Shloim. And so if you try, well, something's going to happen in order for it to go back. It's kind of like pulling back a rubber band. Right? You can pull back as hard as you want. It's going to go back. And it might go back really hard too. So you can either go back slowly, or you might let go and you might get hurt. But it's going back no matter what. The kol chakira shel inyan schar v'oinish hi ha'im leboire shu godol v'noyer bli tachlis ichpat lo klal kol prat katan v'kol nekuda katana ba'olam ha'shafer latet lo gemulo. An important point that we're adding over here is that we can think about for a second with regards to schar v'oinish, to reward and punishment. We can think for a second, wait a second. Does the Rebbeinu Shalom really care? Does he really care about every little detail that goes on in the world? Every little thing that's done? Aim Eino malin ayin. Does he not maybe look away? Al koponim midvarim katanim. It's a small thing. Don't worry about it. Shenirim afilu be'einenu kibilti choshuvim. Even something that's really like, it's not such a big deal. Does the Kodesh Baruch Hu look away from those teeny little things? But since we see and we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts himself out in order to go and deal with every single little detail that there is in every part of creation. The colors. The Victor Miller was very big with this. The colors of every single fruit. Right? Why is a banana green and then it turns yellow? Why is a pomegranate pink and red? And why is a orange? And why are there different colored apples? And every small little detail, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a cheshbon for. There are so many different categories, different types of flowers out there. So many different types of trees. I don't know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of types of fish there are in the sea. And many of them we probably have never seen before in our lives. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu made sure every single one, and the colors of every single one, and where they live, and every single detail. You can't even imagine HaKadosh Baruch Hu went through it. And he made it perfectly, each one. Al korcha shekol ma'aseh chashuv lo, must be that even the smallest little things is important to him. Ve'enu malim ayin mimenu, and he won't just look away from it. Shim haya etzlo davar bilti chashuv, there would be something that wasn't important to him. Lama harichin hashamayim mishmei shmayim lamtzi mitzios shefela, because why would he have created it in the first place? Why would he have brought it here into the world in the first place if it wasn't important to him? Ela al koichel shekol nekuda ketano mushgachas al yodo. Rather, it must be every small little point HaKadosh Baruch Hu watching over al yodo mikora b'chashuv lo, and it's important to him, and it's close to him. Umemela yesh gemul al kol davar v'davar, and therefore it must be that there's reward or punishment for every single little detail. You know, this week's parsha is Parsha Tzav, and talks a lot about Parsha Tzav, all about karbonos. About karbonos. Right? Karbonos seems to be like a very, very physical thing. But yet, if you have the wrong machshava, you have the wrong thought, then you pass on the korban. Right? One thought. You did everything else. You did everything right. For a thought, you pass on the korban. Hashem knows about that little thought that I had. That two words of chutz lizmano or chutz l'mekoimo, those little words that I said in my own head, I had a machshava, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that, right? I made a mistake. I thought it was a shlomim and it was an oila. Oh, but I fixed it afterwards, but only after the avodah. Oh, it was only in my head. Otherwise, the avodah was done exactly the same. What, that make the difference? Does it really make a difference? No, tachlis, come on, it's exactly the same. HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about every detail. He wrote in his Torah that he cares about every single detail. The kol zeh, we'll finish up with this paragraph. The kol zeh mikoach bris ha'ava ben aboyer lebruav. This is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves his creations. And you have this connection, this bris ava, this is connection of love. Shemikoach ava zu doyeg mikorav l'kol ma'asem. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves his creation, so he's doyeg, he worries over them. V'chpat lo mehem. He cares about it. He cares about the world. Ve'enu mit'alim mishum ma'aseh. And nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden from the Ribono Shel Olam. Ela al ma'aseh ra mitztaer k'viyochol tzar godol v'nitzchi. Rather, for every little bad deed that was done, it causes pain. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, k'viyochol, he feels that pain too. Shemizeh yoytzes mitzios ha'oinish. From there, punishment comes out. And from there, from a good thing, good things come out, and it makes us a better connection with the Ribono Shel Olam. And from there, a person can receive the greatest schar for what he does. We have to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu not just wants to give us schar, he wants to bring us close to him. We want to be close to him. That's the whole point. Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'zako, says Yisrael. Lefikach hier ba'alem Torah mitzvahs. HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to bring us closer to him. So he says, I want you to bring me closer. I'm going to give you mitzvahs. This way you'll be able to get closer to me. It's not because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to hit us. Chas v'shalom. Even the hitting is only to bring us closer to him. Okay, shkoyach.
Thank you for joining Real Judaism, where we explore Torah's wisdom for real life. Created by J Foundations and produced by Eli Podcast Productions. Find more episodes at realjudaism.org and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.